A man watches another man move through the world with competence. He studies the walk, the posture, the way decisions get made, and he copies it. Not consciously most of the time, just absorbs it. This is how skill transfers, how discipline spreads, how strength gets passed down. A craftsman shows an apprentice how to hold the chisel. The apprentice doesn't just watch, he tries to feel what the craftsman feels. The weight, the angle, the pressure before the cut. He's not learning theory, he's duplicating mechanics. That's legitimate. But here's what most men miss. When you copy someone, you don't get to choose what transfers. You see their confidence, you absorb their habits, but buried underneath, hidden in the way they speak, the way they move, the way they avoid certain decisions, are flaws, patterns they don't even know they carry. And you copy those too. A man trains under someone skilled, gets stronger, gets sharper, walks away better than he was. But 6 months later, he notices something, a tendency he didn't have before, a reaction that feels foreign but familiar. It comes from the model, from the man he studied. Imitation doesn't discriminate, it takes everything. So the first question isn't whether you should copy someone, it's whether you're choosing what to take. Most men aren't. They absorb influence the way a sponge takes water. No filter, no gate, just open absorption. And once it's in, it shapes from the inside, becomes part of the pattern, part of the reflex. That's not weakness, that's mechanics. But it means you're responsible for what you let in. Now, here's where it gets more direct. People follow. Not because they're weak, not because they lack judgment, because following is efficient. Leadership, real or assumed, removes the cost of decision. Someone steps forward, someone speaks with certainty, and the group defers. It doesn't matter if the leader knows anything. What matters is that they act like they do. You've seen this. A room full of capable men. A decision needs making. No one moves. Then someone speaks. Not louder, not smarter, just first. With enough certainty that it sounds like authority. And the room follows. Because humans default to structure. We assume someone knows. We assume confidence equals competence. And most of the time, no one checks. That's not stupidity. That's survival wiring. In a crisis, skills get delayed. So we follow the person who moves. The person who sounds sure. Even when they're guessing. Even when they're wrong. If you were in a theater and a theater burns, the exit you came through is the one you'll use. Not the two others closer to you. Not the ones that lead outside instead of deeper into the building. You'll take the familiar route because memory overrides assessment. And when someone runs, you'll follow. Not because you trust them, because everyone else is running too. This is what sheep mentality means. Not that men are foolish, that men are wired to conserve energy, to lean on the herd, to follow confident motion rather than stop and calculate. It works until it doesn't. So the second question becomes, when are you following and when are you choosing? Most men don't know. They think they're making decisions, but they're just aligning, going with the group, taking the path already worn, not out of fear, out of habit. Conformity isn't cowardice, it's efficiency. But efficiency doesn't care about direction. A man bows to peer pressure without realizing it, not because he's being threatened, because belonging is a need that sits higher than comfort, higher than preference, sometimes higher than truth. So he adjusts, agrees when he doesn't, goes along when it costs him, not to survive, to fit. This isn't a flaw in character. This is design. Humans are social. You're built to align, to please, to conform. Without that wiring, there's no cohesion, there's no cooperation, no trust. Society collapses. People-pleasing exists for a reason. Peer pressure serves a function. Conformity holds the structure together. The problem isn't that these mechanisms exist. It's that most men don't see them working. They comply without knowing they're complying. They follow without choosing to follow. They shape themselves to the group and call it preference. And once the pattern is set, it runs on its own. Here's the harder truth. You can manipulate these mechanisms easily. Ask someone for a favor, and they'll do it. Not because they owe you, because saying yes feels better than saying no, because people want to please. It's wired in. You can use peer pressure to move a group. The excuse of everyone else is doing it works because no one wants to be the outlier. Conformity becomes the leverage. And you can assume leadership just by acting like you already have it. None of this is secret. None of this is complex. It's just mechanics. But most men are standing inside these patterns, being moved by them, without ever seeing the structure. They think they're independent. They think they're choosing, but they're running the same script as everyone around them. That's not wrong. That's just what happens when influence isn't noticed. The brain copies, it follows, it conforms, not because it's broken, because that's how it was designed, to save energy, to stay connected, to survive. But design doesn't equal destiny. A man who knows he's being influenced can choose what he takes. A man who sees the herd can decide when to follow and when to step aside. A man who understands conformity can use it or refuse it. The strength isn't in rejecting these patterns, it's in seeing them. Because once you see the mechanism, you stop being moved by it. You copy deliberately. You follow consciously. You conform when it serves you and resist when it doesn't. That's not independence, that's command. The world will always try to shape you. Other men, the group, the pressure to align. The question isn't whether that pressure exists, it's whether you're awake when it arrives.